the thing that I think the script caught that was interesting and different was Cinderella's spirit, but in a contemporary way that made her goodness very strong and warm and witty. And anything that you might have worried about being sort of precious or too period or too classical or too removed or too traditional, that seemed to be dealt with in a very light way. So the film script had delicacy, and it seemed as though they were interested in trying to find that tone throughout the whole of its execution. So entertaining, yes, but light and simple. And it's always very difficult to do things that are simple, because you want them to be kind of at the same time. You want them to be rich. So the sleight of hand that is Cinderella, a simple story that carries much, much more power than it might appear to, was what attracted me to the project, and a great script. And I was pleased to say that I liked very much where both Dante and Sandy were in these very fundamental style-defining ways. Humor was going to be a big part of my approach, but seriousness of purpose when it comes to the emotional life of Cinderella, and particularly the idea of making her someone who was at peace with who she was, had a sense of who she was happy with who she was, and as contrary as it might seem, trying to find a way to present a character who wasn't going to go through the entire film simply waiting for a man, chasing a man, or chasing riches, or chasing something that's not here now. So we needed a performance and a character that was very present, really as an example, which Cinderella is, of how you might live your life to the happiest extent it can be. And I wanted to do that. This Cinderella is not a pushover. She's someone who sticks up for herself, but she does so with compassion and intelligence. All of that adds up to something very charismatic, because this is someone who knows who they are and expresses who they are. And we need an actress very free and very in touch with youthfulness and playfulness in her own personality, which Lily is, and in a way can embody lots of what is beautiful and fun and gorgeous and delicious about being a girl, sometimes a little girl, and what is beautiful and marvelous and gorgeous about being a woman. And she moves from one to the other and back and forth, as I think probably all girls and women do, and all men and boys do, because we can stay very youthful and playful until we're vast ages, and we can seem quite mature sometimes in difficult circumstances when we're visually and superficially quite young. So a sense of play in all that, and a sense of honesty, a real honesty, something with which the audience could connect, so that we could both love her and feel as though in some sense she represents us in the story. Similarly, the warmth that Cinderella's house had to have, the warmth, the invitation to be, for the audience, a real symbol, a working symbol of what a happy family might be lucky enough to have, and how a house becomes a home when tended with the loving care that he gives it visually. And then where we could be graphic, like in the attic, to have a sense of the drama that puts a single figure in a big empty space, where the visual is provided by the physical, geometrical drama of big sloping roofs and large empty floors. A strong contrast in its simplicity to the dazzle and the intensity of flavor that you get in the ballroom. So Dante had that natural instinct for how to orchestrate, and was very responsive and attentive to the kind of inflection of all of that I wanted to give it, whether it was a round staircase in the family home rather than an Edwardian square one, degree of decoration, degree of filigree, degree of complexity when it came to the fancy stuff, and it was a very, very good collaboration, because I admire him enormously, always have done, admire his work, so I know I want to get his very best instincts, and then my job is to guide a little bit to make that fit into the cohesive whole that also bears in mind cinematography and costumes and hair and makeup and lighting and music and performance. And he was very open to letting me do that. Sandy Powell, as brilliant as she is and as detailed and prepared as she is also open to both what people like me might have to say and the actors. And for instance, with the Fairy Godmother's costume, one thing that Helena Bonham Carter definitely wanted was wings. And there was a question of, really, do we need wings? And Sandy had questions at first, and then the wings came in, and they were a really good complement to this very interesting idea that she had, Sandy, of the dress lighting up from within, and that there were diamonds and lights inside it that could make it, just on a practical level, mechanically on set, light up, not just with post effects, but with a real sort of battery-fed kit that the good people at Philips helped us with. And in the end, it's a combination of their work and what we do in post-production that makes the Fairy Godmother glow at all times and be as regal and as funny and as otherworldly, and as from yet another period. We go a little bit further back in terms of the inspiration for the costume, and it has a little further back into the, as it were, the world of the 18th century. And I think it's a wonderfully separate, witty, eccentric, but still very beautiful, still very attractive, still very motherly and heavenly kind of concoction. And every kind of technology went into it. Incredible detail in the sewing, and then the seamstressnesses of it all. The light, the corseting, the size of the dress, and then, as Helena wanted, the wings. This new Disney live-action Cinderella, I think, caught onto something very simple and profound when Cinderella's mother, in the story, advises her to have courage and be kind. And the message of the picture has that from a position of tremendous strength, as if goodness was a superpower. And in so doing, I think Cinderella shows us how we can sort of enjoy life in both the simple and the complicated ways. You have with Cinderella this unusual thing that you can assume that a vast number of your audience already know the story. I mean, however young they are, they already know the story. It'll be one of the tales that they are first exposed to across all cultures in different forms. So you have an audience who are familiar with it, and therefore what you bring new to it is the way in which you do it, and the way in which you embody elements of the story, so the classic, iconic moments, if you like. So what does our glass slipper look like? How is it going to appear? What does our ball look like? What is the nature of the dancing? How are we trying to convey this to the audience? How can we give them that sort of breathless excitement about going to a grand event where their lives may change, and where the color and the sound and the feel of it all can be a real experience for a moviegoer? That was really a wonderful invitation as a director. We have wonderfully vivid accounts of these characters in the Disney animated classic, but now you get a chance with a truly great actress like Cate Blanchett to see the stepmother in three different dimensions, as it were, in real life, in live action. And she has the size, the scale, the relish, but this deep and detailed humanity as well, which means that she is not cut out, she's not cardboard, but she's scary, and she's passionate, and she's intelligent, and she's dangerous. And we set her up against this brilliant new actress, Lily James, who plays Cinderella, with such intensity and gentleness, but undeniable strength of spirit. She's very beautiful, very bright, very funny, and a real worthy adversary for this stepmother. So the two of them going at each other in a sort of classic way of, is it good and evil, or is it just, cruel and kind? It's a number of things that make for great drama. It's passionate and it's lively, and you really see them listening to each other and taking each other in, and it may not be love at first sight, but it's a significant attraction at first sight. And It's beautifully played by the pair of them. And we realise that they both, and they're quite honest about this, want to see each other again, but they have great sort of spiritual manners. I mean, there's a tremendous chemical edge. You can feel a kind of passion between them. But they are respectful, and they are shy at times. But they want to meet each other again, and when they do and meet at the ball, we eventually find out that he is indeed the prince, and she was sort of fooled. But does that mean that he is unavailable to her, or won't want to see her, a girl who is not a princess? That leads to the kinds of dramas you might expect in the second half of a story like Cinderella. So there's a bit of despair, a bit of jeopardy, a bit of will they, won't they. But it starts off as with two equals, both of whom, stand side by side, and ends the same way actually, but with lots of highs and lows of drama in between. There is a befuddled quality about the Fairy Godmother in the original movie. What Helena brings is an extension and elaboration of that. She's, again, very passionate, very witty, but not always in complete control of her magic. She's utterly devoted to Cinderella. Clearly, there's a maternal feeling for her. She's indeed her godmother, albeit a fairy godmother, so you feel that sort of familial care and concern. But she has a fabulous dottiness about her that while she's in the middle of this rush to get Cinderella ready for the ball on time, still allows her own little deviations and cul-de-sacs to be walked down as she is amused by how difficult it is or isn't to make a pumpkin turn into a carriage, or a mouse into a footman, or a lizard into a coachman, or a mouse into a horse, I should say. And that relish in the rush to the ball gives us a sense that in her hands everything will be all right. And I think that this very active, very charismatic quality of goodness is also alive there. It suggests goodness can be naughty and twinkly and very satirical and occasionally a little sarcastic. You can still be good and have all of that fun. And I think Helena's Fairy Godmother does that, and as a result we enjoy spending time with her enormously. Her journey is to be the living exemplar of using goodness as a kind of superpower, and doing so always with good humour. At one point, when one character is in difficulty, and this is what a famous philosopher once said when asked what's the secret of life, and he said, "Be cheerful." Cinderella is cheerful. It doesn't mean she doesn't hurt. It doesn't mean she doesn't experience pain and loss and difficulty and challenge, but she is cheerful, and that comes from an open soul and an open heart, and the journey, I suppose, is for her to have all sorts of storms and tempests play around those very delicate organs, and to come out not only surviving them, but even more robust and strong. And meantime, if you can help people along the way, that's good.
Hey guys, stay with me because I've got a really interesting movie fact from the Alien series. I'm sure this will get some of you commenting. Did you know that Ripley was originally intended to be a male character? She was made a woman because audiences at the time would not expect the lost survivor to be female. Can you believe it? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, subscribe to keep up to date, and remember, a woman place is in the kitchen, not... Bye bye.